Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 19 GM Challenge with the Reds. We are through spring training, which is what we did last episode, and I've made all the roster moves to start the season, and we're ready to go. We're on opening day. I'll take a look at these season predictions, which I like to look at before it starts any sim, really. When I'm starting the year off. And then I'll also look at how our minor league farm system looks, and then we'll get started. And before I sim ahead, I'm hoping we'll get through maybe the first month or most of the first month of the season. We'll take a look at the roster, how it shapes up, and the lineups and the pitching staff. But first things first, looking at the preseason predictions. Overall, start with the American League. They like the Yankees this year. They like Baltimore having a pretty good year. I think Baltimore would contend for the wild card spot if these predictions hold true. And then the Red Sox are having a stumble here. So this is the 2020 season. So they're going to have a tough year based on this prediction. Cleveland's going to win the Central pretty easily, with Minnesota finishing a high enough record to make the wild card. And then it's going to be the Astros and Angels in the West. The Athletics, that surprises me a little bit, because I feel like this team is developing a pretty solid contender in real life. They're having a good year this year, and I think they've got some really good young talent. So unless the AI just kind of traded away some of their good players, I would expect them to be competitive for a while. Looking at the individual performances, Rowdy Tellez is up there pretty high overall. They think he's going to have a high average, a lot of home runs and RBIs. Same with JD Martinez. Aaron Judge going to have another good power year, coming off 39 home runs in 2018, or 39 and then 41 in 2019. Bryce Harper, who's with Texas, should have another good year. Big year from Lindor, who's he's a 5-star rated player now in this playthrough. Manny Machado on the Angels in this playthrough, expected to have a good year. Pitching wise, not a whole lot that stands out. Some 15-game winners. You guys hitting over 200 strikeouts. One of the things I've noticed as I've gotten farther in these playthroughs, especially on the Phillies one, which I'm now in like the 2034 season, I think. The starters, their innings get less and less, and it's I haven't really played around with that setting, but a lot of these starters, they're just not getting the innings to, on one side, get a lot of decisions, and on the other side, get a lot of strikeouts. So I'm going to let it play through, but it might be a case where might have to adjust some things there in the settings. Moving on to the National League, they've got the Braves running away with things in the East, but Phillies, they've got them being competitive and making the wild card. Big, tough year for the Marlins, 100 losses. They've got the Cardinals winning in the Central game over the Cubs, and then the Dodgers running away with the West. As far as individual performances, Corey Seager won the MVP last year. They're expecting him to have a bigger season for 2020 than he had in 2019. Same with Rhys Hoskins. He had 50 home runs last year. In this playthrough, he's expected to hit 53. Some other guys, Rizzo and Bryant, there expected to have good years with the Cubs. And then pitching, same deal. One 16-game winner in Bumgarner, but the rest, 15, 13, not a whole lot. No 20-game winners. And they've got Grankian listed as the top pitching performance in 8 wins. So it could be a pretty tough year for pitchers. And they've got us finishing above 500, which that would be pretty good. I would hope that we'll compete for the wild card, but I'm a little worried going into this season, to be honest. And I'll tell you why when we get to the rosters and lineups and pitching staff. But as usual, we have no individual performers showing up in the top hitter or pitcher. Moving on from that, I wanted to look at our minor league system rankings. I always like to do this, and I think we're holding steady at ninth we got a guy here in, I think he's in single A right now, who's got some really good upside. I drafted him in 2018 in the 6th round, and he's developed pretty good so far. My scout thinks he's a 4.5 star potential, 4 star potential from OSA with a very high contact rating. I'm hoping this guy does develop, but that's he's got a long way to go. But I've started him at low A this year, so maybe he'll start developing pretty quickly. And then we got Hunter Green, Cam Gibson, who is on my starting lineup. He's a guy who I traded in the offseason. I traded Scott Schebler to the Nationals to pick him up. I think that was a good trade. And at this moment, really, I feel like Cam Gibson is a better overall rated player in this game than Schebler. And then we got P.D. Fellows, which is a starting pitcher that I drafted. Sorry, not P.D. Fellows, Drake Fellows. He's a pitcher. And then Carter Stewart. Those are a couple pitchers that I've drafted. Hopefully they'll turn into starters. I think Drake Fellows has some good upside, 4 solid pitches if they develop, pretty decent stamina. He's right now moved up to low A, so I'm hoping that he starts developing too. You can see OSA likes him probably a little bit better than my scout. They've got him as a potential 3.5. So that's I'm happy with that. Top 10 in the minor league system. I feel like this team is still we're developing long term. We're not really gonna be able to, at this point, compete for the playoffs every season with the rosters we have. But that's pretty good if we keep that going and develop some of these prospects. My owner goals for this year are to achieve a winning record. Hopefully we'll achieve that. He wants me to upgrade at center field, and they were just slim pickings, so I wasn't able to do anything. We've got Friedel is the only person I think on the roster listed as a true center fielder, but he's not going to be starting. And then I've got a couple long-term goals to acquire a nationally popular player and reach the World Series. So we went over all the offseason moves that I made last year. There's some interesting things with in terms of how Girardi, the manager, is managing both the staff and the lineups. This is the GM challenge. I have no control over that, so he's got the final say unless the team starts performing pretty poorly and they have to look for another manager. But he's doing some things that I probably wouldn't do based on the roster that I gave him, and that is the thing. He has to go with what I've given him, and maybe it's not that much. But first off, in the starting rotation, he's going with an untested guy here, Sandy Alcantara, who is somebody who I picked up in trade last year for Profar. And in some ways, it might not be a bad idea to give him a nod. He has started in the minors pretty much since he was drafted, so primarily he's been a starter. His overall ratings, aside from movement, aren't that terrible. He does have 4 pitches. It's a very solid fastball. But he's starting him in place of Cole Hamels, who he's putting in middle relief, mainly long relief. And I feel like that might be a gamble. It's definitely an experiment. We'll see how it plays out. One of the things, though, I will agree, Hamels' stamina is not that great as a starter right now. Maybe that had something to do with what Girardi was thinking. But I have a feeling that Hamels is not going to like being in that bullpen much longer. So unless it shifts around, might be having to deal with a disgruntled Cole Hamels before the season's over. But as for the rest of the bullpen, it's about the same. Chad Green is hanging on as closer. Nicasio, who I picked up in the offseason, he's going to be the setup guy, along with Herged, who I hope develops a little bit more this year. Had an up and down season last year, but his ratings are really good. And then moving on to the lineups, he does have Friedel starting, and looks like he's going to start him against lefties and righties. I'm kind of surprised by that. I felt like maybe Owings would get a little bit of play time. He does have better individual ratings. Friedel is probably an okay option to have in center defensively. He's got good speed, but I'm really doubtful that he can hold that starting job. Now he is going to try Gibson in left and moving Winker over to right. I'm okay with that. I think Gibson does have some definite upside. He's got a lot of power. Looks really good against righties and pretty decent speed. Definitely good defense. And then in the lineup itself, he's moved Shedrick Long down to fifth, and Shedrick Long has some pretty decent speed. I would probably put him maybe second or third if I were setting the lineup. And he's got Senzel leading off. And Senzel has great contact, great numbers really all up and down the line, but he has so much power that I would prefer I don't know, put him in like maybe again with Long second or third. Maybe those guys would be interchangeable. So it's kind of interesting to me that he would move him up to first, or into that top spot in the lineup. But we'll see how it goes. And right now I've got 24 players because I've got Kiki Hernandez on the disabled list, but he's only got another day, and he's mainly going to be a platoon bench player. I don't expect that I will give him any kind of rehab, even though he missed a lot of the spring training, simply because, well, AAA season doesn't start for a while. And if he's coming off the bench, maybe he can ease his way into play, so that won't be too bad. And then Iglesias is injured currently, just a couple days. I'm going to be keeping an eye on him because after a great 2017 in real life, he's took a downturn in this playthrough. Couple years, his ERA has been above 4. I'm not sure how he fits into that pitching staff, and I do have not many, but I do have a couple options here, like in Okanian or Ohanian, Weiss, and Rainey, potentially if Iglesias starts to struggle, but the rest of the team, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of depth at AAA if we start getting injuries and have to call up some people. I am going to be paying attention to these pitchers here, a couple in AA, mainly Hunter Green. He has not pitched above high A. He has looked great in his 2 stops in A and high A, but I want to give him some time in AA. If he starts looking good, say a month or 2 in, I might move him up to AAA and speed up his advancement a little bit. But also this guy, if his control gets a little bit better, he might have a shot at making the majors eventually. He might even fit in as like a reliever or middle reliever or long reliever at some point. And then I've got this guy who is a minor league free agent. It's one of those things where I like to fill the rosters if I'm looking pretty slim. And so he signed on with Pensacola. Keep an eye on him too, because he could develop into maybe a setup guy or somebody I can just throw in there and give me a little bit of innings. And then Drake Fellows, the guy I mentioned in the top prospects report, he's going to be somebody I keep an eye on. And then a few outfielders here at the bottom, Alred and Cad. If Cad develops like he should, then wow, this guy could be maybe a franchise type player. His defense is going to have to get a little bit better at center though, but I think it will give him time. So that's what we're looking. We're going to go ahead and start simming out. We play on the road at Detroit to start the season. So let's get going. And we lost in extra innings, and Hernandez is ready to come off. Let me see what that does to the lineup, if anything. Yeah, I mean, he's just going to get some time, mainly pinch hitting duties and some backup there of Senzel at third and in the outfield. But first game, Friedel led the game off. He was batting first. Shedrick Long 3 for 4, good game for him. Good start for Molly, but Hamels blew the save. I feel like, man, I just don't know how long that's going to last. And then Green, my closer, lost it in the final. Yeah, so he moved it around after mentioning that. So he did put Senzel down, which I'm a little bit happier with that. I think he'll be a better contributor lower in the lineup. Chad Green, moderate effect on that injury, but it's only 4 days. I'll have to ride that one through. We did win 10-9, and again in extra innings. Gibson had a good game. Shedrick Long 2 for 5, drove in 3. Good game for him. Peraza, good game. Castillo, not solid, but that bullpen was rocked a little bit. Hamels got the win, but he gave up a run there. We had to come back and win it for him. Charlie Blackmon out for 5 weeks. That could be a big blow for Colorado. Jose Altuve, just a minor injury for 2 weeks. So we do win the series, but every game, extra innings. This was a pitching duel. We won 2-1. Winker, good game. Votto, 2 for 5. Votto's another one that worries me. His ratings are going down quick. Good outing from Nelson. Green did pitch, so he pitched through that injury and got the save. And Iglesias got the win. So first week under the belt, we're first Monday. Here we are. Luke Weaver out. Big blow for St. Louis, out for the year. He won 15 games for them last year. And we're 2-1 to start. We got Kansas City next at home. Let's see if we can keep it up. And we win big, 11-4. And so Iglesias, big injury for him, 5 weeks. So he may have benefited from some rehab time, but this early in the season, just don't have it to give. Let me take a look at the game first to see how we did. Some good offense there. Gibson, Long, another great game for him. Winker, a great game. 3 for 4, drove in 4. And pitching-wise, Gesellman got the win, just 1 run in 5 innings. Iglesias, though, stunk it up. But that's what I'm seeing. I mean, it's really tough the way the game's going. These starters are getting 5, maybe 6 innings, and then they're sitting down. And Nakamura was signed. I didn't like his overall ratings. I thought that movement was a problem. And Colomb, who was out there, that was a good pickup for them. Let me see if there's anybody left. I'll look first at the waiver wire. And, yeah, we do have some things here. Betancourt, who doesn't look terrible. He looked good for the Phillies last year. He's a 2-star, though. But he would be probably an improvement, if not just as well as Iglesias. Josh Fields, he's had some good years here. His stuff and control are really good, but you know how I don't like that movement because that's going to lead to a lot of home runs. 18 last year and just 81 innings. So let me take a look now at free agency and see if there are any relievers left that I can maybe. No, just 1.5 star, very slim pickings. Are there closers? Zach Britton. Zach Britton would want to be the closer, and I feel like the way it is now, Chad Green has kind of developed into that role. I think that would just tick him off. I think I'm okay with having him as a closer. So now that means I'm going to have to give one of these guys a chance. And Rainey, I don't like his control. And Zach Weiss, I don't like his movement. He did get some playtime for me last year, and it wasn't that great. He did look good at Louisville last year, and he's looked good really wherever he's been in the minors. But the movement just is really a big issue, and he's a lefty. I think I'm going to give Ohanian a chance here and see if he's ready. I know he's probably just going to be a 2-star. No, he's 2.5 potential from both My Scout and OSA. Let's see what that would do for the. So he's just slotted in there at middle relief. So we're up to 3-1 to start the year. 3-2, 3-3. Kansas City owned us, and it's like we split. No, we won the series against Pittsburgh, so we're 5-4. Let me take a look at the news here, see what's going on. Aaron Nola injured for 5 weeks, big blow for them. Clayton Kershaw, who's now with the Mets, he's down for a week. And Player of the Week went to Odor for Texas in the American League, and Corey Seager in the National League. So he's starting off that, trying to get that MVP again. He started off really hot. Those are, I love in the first week or two when you look at the pace some of these guys are on. That would be one of the best years ever in the history of the game. And power rankings, we are 9th. Wow, that's not too bad. Let's take a look at some of these games here, see how we won or lost. So against Kansas City, it was only a 2-game series there against Kansas City. We lost that second one 3-1 at home. Gibson had another good game, so he's so far that's looking like a pretty good pickup for me. Molly didn't pitch terrible, 5 innings, just 1 run, but 4 walks. Ohanian, who had just caught up, got the loss in that one. And then we lost 2-4 at Pittsburgh. Again, Votto struggling, Senzel struggling, batting 107. Yeah, he's off to a pretty poor start. And pitching-wise, Alcantara, his first start, 4 runs. Hamels looked good in relief. And then we lost 6-7, again at home. Friedel, who is not looking terrible. He's batting over 300. Senzel had a good game, 2 for 5. Winker, a good game. Shedrick Long, 1 for 4. And Castillo gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. Not a good outing for him. And Hamels didn't have a good game there either. But looks like we finished the series strong. A 4-0 win. Senzel was 3 for 5. Long, a good game. So he's off to a really good pace as well. Power's down, but I like the average. And then Nelson, great game for him. 8 2/3. Almost got that complete game shutout. No walks, 7 strikeouts. So he's looking good to start the year. And he's going to be a free agent after this season. So could be trade bait. Depends on how well we do. I don't think he's going to develop. I don't think he's going to be the starter that I need. He's probably going to get double digits in salary. And then we won the final game 7-6. Shedrick Long, Winker, Hernandez, good games there. Gesellman pitched okay. Herget blew the save, not good for him. He's off to a terrible start, 9.82 ERA. I'm not sure what's going on with this guy because his ratings are so good for a reliever, and he's just outside of that first year in the league of 2018, he's just not doing too good. So looking at the standings now, 5-4, we're second to the Pirates, and Phillies are leading the East. Washington having a pretty poor start. Dodgers off to a typical good start for them. Astros, best record in baseball, 9-2, 818 winning percentage. Twins looking good, and Blue Jays leading the East. And Lara for Baltimore. This is he was a independent or a international free agent. Don't expect him to keep this pace up. It's 6 home runs already. It's pretty good. Mookie Betts off to a good start, hitting 400. And anybody for us, Peraza leads the league in stolen bases. Winker's up there in average. And Syndergaard leading the league in strikeouts. So I want to check the waiver wire. That's my Monday thing. And let's see, we got Akil Morris. Don't think he's ready. If he would develop that control, he might have a shot. And make sure there's nobody injured here on the team. So Hunter Green opens up his Double-A season with a big loss. So what was that? 6 earned run? No, 8. Does it give me his last outing? Well, it was 6 runs in 3 innings. Not good for him. Trevor Catt is injured. Oh boy, that would be typical. All right, let's play another week here at Milwaukee. So we're starting to play some in the division. Big win there, but now we got a Chris Owings is out, moderate injury for a week. I think I'm gonna leave him in there for now. Corey Kluber still out, injured. He was out for 2 to 3 months. He was injured in the spring. So we won the first game against Milwaukee 8-5 on the road. Peraza, a good game. Long, a good game. Friedel up to 346 batting right now. Molly got the win, but he gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. Green got his second save. And Peralta, he's being used really sparingly, like probably a batter at a time. On pace for 103 games, but 29 innings. But he's yet to give up a run. And then we won the second one 12-4. Friedel leading off scored 4 runs. That's a pretty unexpected pace. This guy's a 1-star rated player from OSA. But the rest of the offense, Gibson, great game for him. He's on pace for 59 home runs now. Long 2 for 5. He's hitting over 400. So the offense is looking pretty good in some spots, like we did that year we made the playoffs. Hamels picked up his second win in relief. He's being used a lot, though. And not a good outing for Alcantara. So that's 2 pretty poor performances from him. I don't know how long we could keep that going. Let's see what Girardi would, if he would move it around. No, he's good with it. So we've won the series. Let's see how we finish it out. Nope, 7-5, 8-5, 8-6, 9-6. So we won the series against Atlanta. I'll take a look at that here in a minute. But 9-6, playing 600 ball. And Mike Trout got a contract extension, 42. Oh man, 7 seasons, over $40 million average. That's about right. I would expect that to be about right. He was MVP last year, and Joey Votto hit his 300th home run. Star of the week in the American League, Rafael Devers, who's coming off a pretty solid year. He was a guy I picked up in my Phillies playthrough. I picked him up in the latter part of his career, and he was solid for me. And then Austin Hedges was the player of the week in the National League. And power rankings, we are 5th. So not bad. Looking at the standings, 6-4 in their last 10. We're 9-6, but the Cardinals and Cubs are right behind us. It's shaping up to be a tight race so far. Philly's still up top in the East. Kind of a mix there going on in the West. Just San Diego, the only winning team. Minnesota's still looking strong. White Sox 3-13. Terrible start for them. And Yankees off to a good start. Lara up to 9 home runs now for the Orioles. Matt Olson, a lot of power from him. He hit 50 in that first season that I simmed here. And Shedrick Long is 2nd in batting and 1st in RBIs, so he's having a good start too. Jimmy Nelson leads the league in ERA. So let me take a look at how we won these games. Let's see. We finished losing that last game against Milwaukee 5-6. Not much going on there offensively, although Senzel's average is up to 231 after that game. Castillo pitched a good game, but the bullpen, Ohanian, might not be ready for it, and Nicasio not looking good at all. So far, 7.71 ERA. We won the first game at Atlanta in extra innings. Votto had a good game. Gibson, another good game from him. Winker Pitching wise, Nelson was solid but didn't pitch long enough to get the win. And Green picked it up in looks like the ninth inning there, or maybe 10th inning. Then we lost 1-8. Votto was 2 for 4 with that home run, and Gesellman, not a great game from him. The bullpen, Ohanian really stunk it up there, and last game we won 7-5. So not too bad. Owings is getting some play time, looks like. Senzel, a good game. Winker, Long, another good game. Molly didn't hang on there to get the win. Hamels, though, maybe that was a good move putting him in the bullpen. He's looked pretty solid. Well, a lot of walks, but he's getting some wins. I'm going to look at the waiver wire. Now it's gonna start getting slimmer and slimmer as we go along here. And AAA, it looks like their season is just now starting. Let's see. And, man, some big news here. Let me look at the DL, but I think I've got some big injuries. Hunter Green, 7 to 8 months. Never fails. So he's out of the mix for now, for sure. But, he will. It's going to be iffy if he develops again now. And Tyler Cad, big injury. Trevor Cad, sorry, the guy who got a lot of trade offers for in the offseason. He's going to be injured for a few weeks, but hopefully that won't hurt his development too much. But that's what happens in this game, injuries, just like in real life. But so he's not going to be in the mix at all. So I'm going to be looking for another first, second, third starter again in the offseason. Depends on how I play. If I can pick up, might have to look at a trade situation around the trading deadline. But a big blow right there. I know that there's probably not going to be anybody left in free agency. Looks like Britton is still out there. I'm tempted to pick him up just to give me some help, but no, that's why I'm not going to pick him up. $29 million. He's hanging out for the money, so not going to be able to do that. So let's go to the next week here versus Arizona, then Washington. So we managed to win a game and against Arizona and look really good against Washington. We're up to 13-9. I think we may have swept Washington. I'm going to go ahead and look at the news first. Chris Bryant is out for 4 weeks. And Zach Britton signed with the Cubs for $27 million. So he got the money he wanted. Cam Gibson, day-to-day for about 5 days. I can deal with that. Garrett Richards out for a big chunk of the season. And then American League Player of the Week, Jackie Bradley Jr., and then Wilson Contreras for the Cubs. Joe Ross is out for the year, and power rankings were 4th. So, wow. We're still hanging in there. So, we had a full week, 7 games. We lost the first game in Arizona 1-9. Alcantara didn't look good. Herget looked even worse. Then we lost 4-8. Not much going on in this one, although Winker looks like he may have hit a home run. Owings still getting some play time there. Castillo didn't look bad in the starter, but Chad Green. Maybe I should have picked up Britton even at that salary because he has not looked good to start the year. But then we won 7-2. Cedric Long, a good game. He's up to 23 RBIs, on pace for 177. Romine looking good. And Nelson got his second win. He's looked really good. 7 innings. He's about the only one who's starter who's really given me innings so far. and Hamels looked good in relief. And then we lost 1-4 in that first game against Washington on the road. Gesellman, not a great game, although 4 innings, 1 earned run. Bullpen was okay for the most part. Then we won 13-4. Peraza, good game at the leadoff spot. Senzel, pretty good game. Gibson, Long, Barnett had a good game. Molly picked up his second win, and then 5-3 in that second game. Peraza, another good game. Votto, 2 for 4. He's not looking too bad, even though his ratings have slipped quite a bit. And the pitcher Alcantara got his first win. Green got the save, and then the big win 13-6. Peraza, another solid game. He had a good week. Let me see what his week looked like there. Yeah, he hit 313, 10 for 32, scored 8 runs. Good week for him. Votto was good in this game. Gibson, another solid game. Hernandez looked good off the bench. And then Castillo blew it, but 6 runs and 4 1/3. But that bullpen held on. So looking at the standings, we are 13-9 in second place, a game and a half back, but we are tops in the wild card position right now. The Mets have overtaken the Phillies. That National League East is starting to tighten up. Nationals are just really struggling. And then pretty tight race going on there in the West. All 5 teams within a game and a half of each other. Houston just running away in the American League West. Oakland is playing better, which I thought they might. And now the Central's tightened up. 4 teams within a half game. And the Yankees up a game over Boston, but Baltimore's struggling. Mookie Betts still having a good year so far. Josh Donaldson off to a pretty good start. Well, really a great start for New York. And then for us in the National League, look at this. Ryan Braun having a good start for the Mets. Corey Seager leading the league in home runs. I'm kind of surprised by that. Shedrick Long is now second in RBIs. Peraza, maybe we won't miss Billy Hamilton too much. He's leading the league in stolen bases. And Nelson leading in ERA. Brad Brock already up to 4 wins. But that's in relief. That's in relief for Miami. So pretty interesting start. This is probably the last game I'll play. I want to look how we're doing overall. I like to go to this team statistics screen. So you can see it's pretty much offense all the way. This is what's carrying us for sure right now. First in average and on-base percentage, second in on-base and slugging, first in runs scored and hits, third in stolen bases. Looking really good offensively. Defensive efficiency is looking good. That was one of the goals, I think, if not for this year, then last year. But starters ERA is 4th. That's not too bad, but that bullpen, I've got to do something to improve that pitching staff, and I'm still really bummed that Hunter Green had that big injury. I know he's young. I hope it doesn't impact him long term, but I was really looking at this guy being a part of the rotation within a year, maybe 2. So now that may have added another year to that. Got some guys coming up on free agency. Jimmy Nelson, for instance. So I'm going to have to start looking at what I can do to develop pitching again, because I don't think that staff's going to stay with it long term. I'm going to make sure there's no changes here with the lineups. So he's moving things around a little bit. He has Owings now in the starting lineup. He's moved Friedel out, even though he was doing good. I don't think he's going to give you too much. Winker has a knee contusion, and Gibson's about to be ready to go 100% soon. You can't afford to lose either one of those guys at this point. He's got Gibson starting in center, which we'll see how that plays out, because his position rating's not that solid at center field. His outfield defensive ratings, though, aren't too bad. So he might work he might work it out to get to double digits in defense before it's over. Last thing I want to check before I leave the waiver wire, and yeah, it's getting really, really slimmed, really slim. So that's where we're looking. Almost the first week through the season, a good start considering where we are, but we have some holes here on this team. It's going to take that offense is going to have to keep performing, and it's going to take some really miracle work on that pitching staff to get us back, to get them back competitive. But as always, thanks for watching, and hopefully we can make the playoffs this year. At least, finish strong and have a winning record, but we'll see. I guess the next episode I'll probably play up until around the All-Star break, or maybe just after draft or around the draft. We'll see how it turns out. But I'll see you next episode. Thanks for watching.